I love sharing these stories. You want to listen in. If you're a mom that's maybe feeling a little bit down after you had a baby, this can happen. It seems to be like on an uprise lately, for so many reasons, but motherhood for sure is the hardest job on the planet. But we need as much support as we can get. So I'm here to share this incredible story with the results that Michelle has had in balancing her gut. Sounds crazy, right? To help with postpartum. This is really fascinating information. My name is Dale Ecuyer, and I'm excited that you're here to hear this story. If you know anyone that is struggling, alert them to this because there are solutions. Thank you so much for being with me here today. Tell us like where you were at after your little guy was born and just the whole story, how you found solutions, which have just turned everything around for you and your entire family.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. So I had my second baby in April of 2020. As we know, 2020 was quite a year for everybody. Everything surrounding his birth was not as I had imagined.
Wow.
So that in itself took a lot of coping and processing. And my husband was working from home. My daughter was home from daycare, which we had planned on keeping her in daycare. So I was home trying to juggle both of them while my husband was working, zero outside help because of COVID. I just found myself becoming a shell of myself, is kind of how I described it. My husband said he felt like he was walking on eggshells around me because I would snap at anything. It could be the littlest thing that he said, and I would just lose it. I would snap at my toddler, which she obviously didn't deserve. She's a toddler. And my son was not the easiest baby. He was colicky. He didn't sleep well, which meant I didn't sleep well.
The perfect storm, right? Unbelievable.
Exactly.
Wow.
It all kind of just made for not a great situation. And I found myself just kind of going through the motions. I was taking care of my kids because I had to, but it was almost, I was a robot. I was just doing it.
Yeah. So you weren't present and you weren't really feeling the joy that you should have been.
No joy at all.
Yeah, which I'm sure, and I know moms, if they don't feel the joy, they think something wrong with me. So then you start feeling guilty because you're not feeling the joy that you're supposed to be feeling when you have a newborn. For you, you realize I need to get help. So what did you do next?
I still remember kind of that tipping point. I was sitting in my daughter's room trying to rock my son to sleep because he doesn't sleep or didn't. He does now. And I was just crying, uncontrollably crying. And I was actually texting one of my good friends from high school about just how I was feeling. And she pretty much told me, Michelle, this is not normal. You need help. You need to talk to somebody. And, really encouraged me to reach out for the help that I needed. I did talk to my doctor and I did get started on some medication and get started in counseling. And it did help. It helped to get me out of the hole I was in. I became more functional, able to enjoy things again. My husband went back to work. My daughter went back to daycare. So things were starting to get a little bit more normal. Fast forward, I went back to work. I was feeling good, but as I was getting back to work and we were trying to find our routine, having 2 young kids now, I just felt constantly overwhelmed by life. Was the only way I could describe it. I felt like I could never really get above water, and I still didn't feel like myself. And I knew that things are different now. I do have 2 kids, but I just felt like there had to be something more. And I kept telling my husband this, and I was like, I refuse to believe that this is it. I refuse to believe that I am going to be living in this constant state of overwhelm. I told him, I said, I'm not the only one who has 2 young kids and is working and has a husband that has a crazy job. Other people can do it. I was like, I have to be missing something. I mean, I even went back to my doctor and had, all my blood work taken because I was like, something's off. I don't know, maybe my hormones, something. And it all came back and she was like, Michelle, it's all normal. Maybe you should go back to counseling. And I was like, okay, that's great and all, but
deep down inside. And I think us as moms, we forget that we have a really deep, instincts, and we know. Or just everyone, I think, knows that when there's something just not right, just doesn't make sense. So what was your next step?
Reaching for straws, honestly, I really had no idea what was out there or what options I had in life. I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw a video actually that one of my friends had done. And it was kind of titled like What I'm Up to Now. And it caught my attention because she had been part of a previous company and she was at the top of her company. She was breadwinner for her family. Her husband's a teacher. We all know teachers don't make what they should. And she also has 2 young kids, and she was really responsible for putting food on their table. So for her to leave her company to do something else, I knew it was not a decision that she could have taken lightly. I was like, what's she up to? Purely out of curiosity. Watched the video. And she talked about her issues postpartum. And her daughter was 19 months before she found a solution. And she had some very dark times, could not find anything to help her. And she started talking about these products that she found that finally got her out of it and helped her enjoy her kids again. And I was like, this sounds too good to be true, because it does. So I kind of put it off for a little bit. And then I told my husband about it. And he was like, try it. What do you have to lose? You can't get any worse. You're right. So I looked into the money back guarantee on the products because I was like, if this doesn't work, I'm getting my money back. And it was a year money back guarantee. So I told my husband I would give it 3 months to see, I felt like 3 months, a long enough time for things to really work in your body. Give it 3 months. And if I didn't see any results, any improvement, I was getting all my money back. And he was like, okay. So I got the products. I started them. And in about a week, I noticed a difference.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So what did you notice like right out of the gates? And it's not normal. Like everybody has different results. Some people do take a little bit longer, but it sounds like you hit that thing that your body was really, really missing and really needed.
And that's why I had told myself I'd give it 3 months, because I know it can take longer for sometimes. But about a week in, I felt just like a weight had been lifted off of my shoulders.
Wow.
I did not feel so overwhelmed by life. I felt like I kind of tackled like the everyday things I needed to do. And I noticed that I was more patient with my toddler, which was a really big thing to me.
Amazing. So were you like really like scratching your head at that point? Or were you just like, what the heck is like, why did this work? Did you like go back and kind of research after the fact? Or did you just like go with it and just be like, all I know is I feel better. All I know is I'm a better mom. I'm a better wife, and I'm just going with it.
Well, I had known about gut health. My friend had kind of explained the difference between gut health and the gut-brain axis and, the connection in the vagus nerve. So she had kind of explained all that to me before I started the products, because that was something I asked. I'm like, why is this different? Any different than what I am currently taking. So she'd already kind of explained that to me. So when it worked, it just made sense that this was the missing link. I had the gut health, but I wasn't being able to connect it to the brain. Yeah. And that was the part that I needed, was the brain part, the mental health part, not just the gut.
So what are you currently doing now? I know you are sharing this, like shouting from a mountaintop to other moms, which as I am, when you find something like this that impacts families, like this just gives me the chills anytime I hear like a mom that's feeling better, and just so important because it trickles into that family. Your children will be impacted by how you have taken care of yourself for the rest of their lives. Like it could have gone so differently, and your marriage as well. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, it just blows my mind. So what are you currently doing now? So are you still working, or are you working from home now?
I am still working. I'm working part-time while also sharing this. It pretty much transformed my household. My husband is no longer walking around on eggshells. My daughter can be a kid again without worrying about getting yelled at.
Amazing. Wow. So Michelle, thank you so much for sharing this, because I know there's somebody out there that needed to hear this story. Both of us are trying to bring hope, bring education. All right. Well, thanks again for sharing your story. I really, really appreciate you. I'm so thankful that you found results for yourself, which, like I said, just trickles into the whole family unit.
Absolutely.
We got to keep our family unit strong. We need all the help we can get. We need the support physically, which is going to impact our mental wellness. It's all about that gut-brain connection, without a doubt. Have a good day.